and I'd say a lot of Florida, is the idea of dysfunctionality. When we serve a lot of our constituents, that's the biggest thing that they're passionate about and concerned about. So one of the things I'm hopeful that in the next 6 months this year, we can work together on a bipartisan basis for the importance of the American people. I am concerned with a budget where we're looking at raising taxes another $2 trillion, more debt of another $8.5 trillion, and a budget basically that never balances. We're an aspirational society. People, you work hard and play by the rules. Anything's possible in America. I don't want to punish one group over another group. I'll also mention that President Kennedy mentioned a rising tide lifts all boats. And one of the questions I'd have for you, when you talk to various experts, they talk about if we could focus on growing the economy instead of 2%, 2.5%, growing at 4 or 5%. China's at 8 to 10%. But if we can get back to what we did in the 90s, we could fix a lot of the challenges that we've got in America. A lot of the problems we're talking about go away. Why can't we, or shouldn't we be asking ourselves on any of these proposals, any of these policies we're putting forward, does this grow the economy? How would you respond?
Congressman, I think that is the right question. First, on your point about working together in a bipartisan way, I couldn't agree more that it would be a good thing for the country and the American people would feel a lot better about Washington and the future of the U.S. economy if they could see us working well together. It has a lot to do with confidence. I saw it in the 1980s when we had a divided government. I saw it in the 1990s when we had a divided government. And you talk about the growth in the 1990s. We were making important policy decisions in a bipartisan way for much of that period of time. So I think that to focus on each of the individual items is important, but ultimately our goal has to be growth, because if it becomes a question of how do we cut our way to prosperity, there's no answer to cut our way to prosperity. There's no answer for any society. How do you cut our way to prosperity?
Let me ask and be clear. You're committed, and the administration's committed to working with us this year to get tax and trade ideally done.
Correct.
Okay. The second thing I wanted to mention, because it was in your comments, about some people need to pay more of their fair share. The taxes now for medium or small businesses, many of them, is when you add state and federal together, it's almost 50%. I've seen it was 49.6%, lower in Florida, but in California it's higher. Then you got additional taxes on there. Where is your sense of fair share? We're looking to take the corporate rate, ideally from 35 to 28 or 25%. But yet, many of these businesses, that's the world that I've lived in, these are the folks that are growing the jobs. They might have 100 jobs, but you can't take 50% of what they earn because they'd have nothing less because the balance of their money stays in to grow their inventory, to add employees, and make additional investments. So what's your sense of what's fair?
Well, Congressman, one of the reasons we take up to $1 million, the amount that a small business can deduct in depreciation right when they make an investment, is exactly to encourage the kind of behavior of having it be advantageous to invest in your business, to invest in your workers. I think that.
But if you've got a business, let me just say, let's take it $1 million to the $2 million range. You've got 150 employees. We have a lot of those all over Florida. Are you saying that the government should take half of the next $1 million? Is that what you're saying?
Well, look, it's hard to respond to a hypothetical. I don't know what the effective tax rate
that's the tax rate. It's 49.6 across the country, I think.
I mean, the effective tax rate for most businesses is lower than their marginal rate, and you have to look at the.
If you look at the numbers of businesses, you're right. But there's a lot of businesses that create a lot of the jobs in the country that might have 300 employees, 200 employees. I don't look at them as even a medium-sized business. They're still categorized as a small business, but to take half of their money is not right.
So look, to the extent that companies make the choice how to organize either as a pass-through or as a C-Corp, if it is economically advantageous to organize as a corporation, that's an option that's available. Companies that are choosing to be on the individual side obviously see benefit in being organized as an individual company, and we have to kind of look at what
My point is,
what
I
all the
think
factors
we need to
are.
work on a bipartisan
We
basis
do.
together to address
Yeah,
that.
fundamentally agree with the point that we want the burden on small businesses to be easier and lower, and and we think we've put some ideas forward that advance that, and we're open to working together on this issue.
Thank you, Mr. Doggett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Secretary. Am I correct that while the administration strongly supports